Well, like trauma often leaves invisible wounds, especially for veterans and first responders. What if a simple blood test could detect its effects before they become long-term health problems? My guest tonight is John Schmitt. He's an Army veteran, immunologist, and co-founder of iXpressGenes, and he's leading a breakthrough that could change how we detect and treat PTSD and trauma-related illness. But he's up late with me tonight here on the Final Five. How you doing? Good to see you.
Thanks so much for having me.
How do you make that journey, though? How do you go from being a veteran to getting involved in this realm? I mean, that's a bit of a detour, or is it more copacetic than I thought?
It is hard to ignore how many different places intersected, right? Yeah. I got a degree in immunology, never intended to use it. Got to do weapon system development and acquisition, so got to see from basic science to mass production, and, and it's all kind of come together with this.
That's really fascinating. And so let's talk about this. So we mentioned iXpressGenes. This is a company that you're involved with. You were in town to testify before the House Veterans Affairs Committee about something that you're involved with called the breakthrough test. Explain what that is.
Yeah, so we have a test that's called the Trauma Autoimmune Indicator Test, and we look at RNA transcriptome analysis, which is really just a fancy way of saying, DNA is what you're born with. RNA, if it's present, it's happening right now, and we can see it as dysregulated. So if we look at that, it's a really great indication of what's going on in your body, and in this case, trauma.
We talk so much about mental health in our society, more so than we ever have. And I think when we talk about it on the level of younger Americans, we go back to school shootings because we've seen so many in the last 20, 25, 30 years here. What's interesting is a lot of this with your research partner in this effort and the head of iXpressGenes is or the founder of iXpressGenes, is this came out of a shooting that happened at the University of Alabama at Huntsville back in 2010. So how do you connect those dots?
Yeah, so our founder, Dr. Joe Ng, he's a professor at University of Alabama Huntsville, and was literally in a staff meeting one day like any other Thursday, and colleague pulls a handgun out of her purse and brutally murders 3 in front of him, injuring 3 others. Joe survived, of course. But out of that next year or so, he saw the spectrum of resilience among his peers. And as a scientist, he just said there has to be an immunological component to this. Turns out our brain's attached to our body. And he took that hunch, and now we have what we have as this test.
When you look at this and being involved in this and your past as an Army veteran, what parallels do you see when it comes to PTSD? Because that's also another realm that I don't think we talk about nearly as much. And we've also talked about how the VA has been so overwhelmed with not just dealing with issues of the mind, but issues of the body.
Yeah, sure. So as a combat veteran myself, I suffered with PTSD and anxiety, depression. And, we always wait until we're in crisis to get help. Right, and that's part of the problem set, and that's what we're trying to do, is move the diagnosis and the screening left so that we can actually prevent it, because we can detect it before symptoms occur, and that's the hope.
When you look at our veterans health system in this country, which we've had many people here on the show talk about their experiences, and clearly there's a long way to go before I think we could properly pay respect and pay homage to those who served our country. Is our system equipped to handle and to deal with newer approaches like yours, like the test, like the blood test?
I think the timing is unique, right? We're in a situation where budgets are climbing out of control, suicide rates are not subsiding, and the mental health crisis is only increasing. That's in the general population as well. We have to look at it a different thing. I mean, the way I look at it is, we're the wealthiest nation on earth. We spend 2.5 times more than any other nation on healthcare, but all of our problems are getting worse. It means we're solving the wrong problem. It's time to look at the right problem, which may be stress-induced, trauma-induced.
And you've already been putting this use at some clinics?
Yeah, so we are just recently received our lab-developed test status, which allows us to go commercial. So we're launching regionally and locally in Huntsville. We partnered with Wellstone, which is our largest mental health care center in North Alabama, to deploy to their population. And we're slowly onboarding new clients. We're actually starting to build a wait list.
That's incredible. And when you testify before Congress, did you feel as though they're receptive to this approach?
I think so. I mean, I think it's, the intersection of history and time is right now where, as you mentioned, we're talking more about mental health. It's not so stigmatized, and we desperately need to look at it a different way, because the way we're doing it's not working. So I think the opportunity for new solutions has never been, more timely.
Just about out of time. I think when you talk about what you went through personally, what do you want people to know? Because if somebody's watching, they may not be a veteran, they may have family members or friends. What do you want them to know about your path from the time you left active duty to now?
Yeah, I mean, PTSD is not a death sentence. We can overcome it. It's also recognized that it's not your fault. So the two biggest problems to getting help is attribution and stigma.
Yeah.
And it's not your fault, and it's your body doing what it was supposed to do, protect you. But it's created illness, and we can get in front of it.
John Schmitt from iXpressGenes. Great to meet you.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
We appreciate it. Thank you for your service.
Thank you, sir.
We are back after this in the final 5.